Joining me again this week is Scott Bauer from the Associated Press. Thanks for coming on here, Scott.
You bet.
Interesting week at the state capitol here. Abortion again at the forefront of some of the debates here. There was a Republican bill that was proposed that would provide exceptions for rape and incest. The governor's already said he's going to veto basically anything that doesn't repeal the abortion ban. So is this just much ado about nothing? Is this going nowhere?
Yeah, not only will it not get to Evers won't even get a chance to veto it because within hours of the bill being introduced, the Republican Senate Majority Leader, Devin LeMahieu, said he is not going to vote on the bill in the Senate. So the bill was introduced by the Assembly Speaker and had a Senate sponsor, Mary Felskowski. But the Senate Majority Leader, who's got a very conservative caucus over there, has no appetite to take up an exceptions bill. So even though it would have been vetoed, it's not even going to pass, it appears, the legislature, which means that we're right back in the courts where we have been with a challenge to the 1849 abortion ban. And that lawsuit is in circuit court, and everyone anticipates that it will eventually be before the state Supreme Court, which has been one of the biggest issues in the court race that we have right now, because the winner of that race will determine whether liberals or conservatives have a majority on the court.
Yeah, so I know on the Democratic side, they're kind of saying all or nothing, right? Either wipe it off the books or don't touch it. Is this Republicans maybe just showing that they're a little bit flexible, though, in the way that it's currently written?
It's Republicans showing that they don't want to go back to what it was under Roe v. Wade, but they recognize that the current law has a lot of problems. And so they're trying to clarify and clean up that law and get it in line with what they feel like is a position that they can get some Republican support for, but it's a position that doesn't have enough Republican support, apparently, to pass the legislature. So they are showing a willingness to soften what we have currently, but not go back to the protections or the access that was available under Roe v. Wade.
There was a separate bill from Republicans that would allow pharmacists to dispense birth control. Is there a chance at some bipartisanship there?
So that bill passed the Assembly last session, did not get a vote in the Senate. They're bringing that back again. The Republican argument with that bill is that we don't want anybody to get in the position where they have to have an abortion or that they look to an abortion as an option. So they want to make birth control, they say, more readily available by allowing pharmacists to write prescriptions for it. If history holds, it'll clear the Assembly again, and then we'll be right back in the Senate and wondering what they're going to do with it.
Had some breaking news on Friday, which is that there is a new Secretary of State. Doug LaFollette has resigned just months after he won re-election. I want to read part of his statement here. He says, "After many years of frustration, I've decided I don't want to spend the next 3.5 years trying to run an office without adequate resources and staffing levels." Can you talk to how the Secretary of State, that position's really morphed over his 40 years to where there's not a lot of responsibility there?
Yeah, a lot has morphed over 40 years, right? But that office went from, the last time it had any control over elections was 1974. The first time Doug LaFollette was elected to that office. He was out of office for 4 years, and then he won it back in '82. And the current Secretary of State, who Governor Evers appointed on Friday, Sarah Godlewski, she was 1 year old when LaFollette took over in '82. So that kind of tells you how long he's been in office. Over those decades, the legislature, Republicans and Democrats, removed power from that office to where now it's basically down to almost no official duties, nothing to do with elections. But Doug LaFollette has managed to stay in that office for a long time, and now we have a new Secretary of State, Sarah Godlewski.
Sarah Godlewski obviously is a familiar name. She was treasurer, then ran for Senate, a failed bid there. Do you find all this interesting, that it's just months after Doug LaFollette went up and got reelected, and then now he's stepping aside for another big name that could hold that position for a while, potentially?
Doug LaFollette is 82 years old. He won re-election, and you know, here we are with him stepping aside for a 41-year-old with clearly with political ambitions, as you said, ran for U.S. Senate, lost, and stepped out of the race toward the close to the primary, but lost the primary to Mandela Barnes and Sarah Godlewski. So we could see her being around the scene for quite a while. LaFollette's term just began, as you said. She's got 4 years now to fill out his term. And with that office not having really any power, and under a Republican legislature not having a lot of power, it's a good place to kind of incubate and think about what you want to do next.
It was an interesting week. We appreciate you breaking it down for us here again, Scott Bauer. Thanks so much.